Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ORL Season 13, Round 22, the season finale, as we make our way to Yas Marina for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. As per usual, I am Yusuf Milkisiro bin Sahel, and joining me in the commentary booth is the one and only Jacob Aladar Hancocks. Jacob, how are you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing very, very well, thank you. I'm feeling a little bit more bloated than I was this time last week, shall we say, with Christmas having come and gone. But other than that, I'm doing pretty all right. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Merry Christmas, of course, to everyone. A belated Merry Christmas, I guess. But yeah, we'll have to see whether any of the drivers are feeling a little bit bloated. Maybe their stomachs weighing down the cars a bit. Bit of heavier cars might struggle with some pace. Who knows? And maybe some people have been being a bit naughty, going on Santa's naughty list for next year, and haven't been doing their due diligence and their proper F1 practice for the upcoming Grand Prix. Either way, Jacob, we've had some fantastic recent races, especially the last one in the circuit of the Americas, and now Abu Dhabi, a circuit which isn't everyone's favorite, but we definitely see some great overtaking battles here.
For sure, yeah. Abu Dhabi is kind of an interesting one because it's miles better on the game, in my opinion, than it is in real life, at least from a spectator perspective. I still don't like driving it in the game, but if we're talking about just watching the racing, I think the racing can actually be really, really good around here, as we've seen in F1 esports events in the past and countless league races as well. So I'm actually quite looking forward to it.
Yeah, and when we talk about this 5.6 kilometer circuit, you've got those two big DRS zones running into turn 8 and then turn 11. And, sometimes if someone gets a little bit too aggressive, a bit too greedy, and they go for that move as quickly as possible, it leaves them susceptible to being overtaken, repassed down into turn 11.
Yeah, indeed, exactly. So there's a lot of tactics involved as well. As we saw actually in the real life F1 race, while it was quite a boring race, there was some overtaking going on and there was some tactical sort of overtaking at play where you want to stay behind the car through turns 8 and 9 potentially to try and get a better run through 11, deny them the opportunity for a counter thrust into there, if you will.
Yeah, with that being said though, we are making our way into qualifying. As always, an 18-minute short qualifying session before we make our way into a 50% race. And Jacob, we've commentated over so many different tracks, and we've seen so many different strategies at these various tracks. But Abu Dhabi is one of those tracks where there are quite a few different strategies out at play. We could be seeing some of those one stops, the hard tires coming out, or maybe a few of those two stops, and maybe some soft, medium, soft strategies coming through come the race time.
Yeah, it is one where I think there's a lot more variance in terms of strategy, sort of potential strategies, and the difference between those one stops, those two stops, is lesser than you'd see at a lot of other circuits as well. It's quite a long lap, but it's still, you got plenty of laps, so it's quite a long race. It feels like a long race when you're driving it as well. So if you do manage to time the pit stops exactly right for a two-stop strategy, it can get pretty close to being as good as the one stop, if not better on some occasions.
And the other thing that we also have to remember, you can plan out every strategy. You can say, okay, this strategy is going to be 1.5 seconds quicker than another strategy. But of course, you have to counter in the fact of there are going to be other cars out there on their own strategies that you have to pass. And who knows whether those cars will make it easy for you, whether those drivers will put up, a fight of their life. You throw yourself back to, what was it? 2011, 2010 here at Yas Marina, where Fernando Alonso couldn't get past, I think it was a certain Vitaly Petrov, and it cost him the championship. And then, of course, you can also throw in the added spice of a potential safety car as well.
Yeah, and actually, if we don't even have to go back so far as 2010. I mean, lower stakes, but if we think back to 2019, when the DRS wasn't working for the first half of the real F1 race in Abu Dhabi, there was a lot of cars getting stuck after their first pit stop, stuck behind, I believe it was Nico Hülkenberg in his final race for Renault, that was holding up a big train of cars behind when they didn't have the DRS, and it went to prove just how much we still rely on DRS, even in the very modern iteration of Formula One.
And with that said, it seems that the first few drivers have begun their flying laps. And with that, let's get on board with Shanaka Clay, who didn't have a great result last time out at the circuit of the Americas. And he's going to be looking to put all of that to bed and get himself a nice, solid start to the final race of ORL Season 13. Making his way into Turn 7, feed on the power and make sure you don't get any wheel spin at all. And now you've got this nice long straight to spot your braking point down into turn 8, Yas Marina Circuit, where you can easily invalidate your laps. And we're going to be expecting quite a few time penalties to be coming. Take all of the curb as much as you dare through 8. Stay away through 9, because if you just take that bit too much curb through 9, it can unsettle the car and keep the car all the way to the left on the long run now down towards turn 11. Let the car over to the right, straddle the curb, and just gently ease the car in, jumping over the curbs through 12 and 13. Into 14, feeding it through again, use up all of the track on exit. Bit of a moment on the rear end for Shanaka Clay, but it's fine. Into the triple right-hander, trail braking all the way down into turn 17. Nice and clean, there's a yellow flag up ahead. Keep your eyes up, just look for where that incident may be. If it's a slow car or someone in the wall, and it does look like it's a slow car slightly further ahead. Don't invalidate through turn 20, we saw that a lot IRL this year. Through the final corner and across the line for a 1:32.6, and that's 500ths quicker than what Chris was able to do.
Yeah, and there are a couple of points where Shanaka Clay would have felt that there was more time available as well. Particularly that final corner wasn't all that neat from the Racing Point driver, so he'll be wanting to improve on that one next time around. But it's nice to know once you come across the line, it's almost nice to make a couple of sort of small mistakes on your first lap in a way, because you know that there's more time in it, and that can kind of motivate you sometimes and drive you on. And if you get a green delta, sometimes that will just get even more performance out of it.
Yeah, that little bit of extra push might help you. Speaking of green deltas, or things that are green, Casper Janssen rocking a very nice yellow and a green helmet. Will he be able to take the provisional top spot that is currently held by Daniela Haddad, who's put in a 32.3, 1/10 quicker than Flores or Wires? And Casper Janssen through the final corner. What will it be? P3 at 32.5 for the Renault driver.
Yeah, a very decent effort there starting on Casper Janssen, who did participate in the F1 Esports Series this year, but only in the one race, unless I'm very much mistaken, in Mexico, I think it was for him. But yeah, another fellow F1 Esports driver in the form of Daniela Haddad, currently sitting at the top of the standings. He managed a podium last time out in the Circuit of the Americas, so he's looking to get a second good result on the bounce. Interesting as well to note that Ulash is out there, the Turkish driver, on those medium tyres. Not able to go as fast as everyone on the softs as you might expect, but interesting that he's going a different direction here in terms of his tyres to everyone else.
Yeah, we've just seen Tomek diving into the pits. Calcifer will do the same, so they're both aborting their laps. What about this man, Ruben Vallejo? Still yet to secure a win in ORL. He came so close at Suzuka. In fact, he stood on the top step after Barry Boromand had a 3-second time penalty. However, that was removed, and Ruben Vallejo dropped down to P2. So this man will still be eager for his first win of the season. No Barry Boromand out tonight, but still a load of quick faces, including, of course, our current champion, Jarno Otmir.
Indeed, yeah. Jarno Otmir, though, still in the pits, along with a couple of other very, very quick faces, as you like to call them, in the forms of Tomek Poradzic, Danny Moreno as well, currently sitting second in the championship. Those two actually doing battle for second in the championship, or they have been towards the end of this season. But Ruben Vallejo, they are out there on those soft tyres, 1 lap old already. So I don't know whether we're going to be seeing him going for a full lap on this set of tyres, or whether he's just going to be heading back into the pit sharpish.
Well, he does run wide, and I think that was probably an invalidation, but it does look like he's still pushing somewhat, so maybe he lifted off enough that it didn't invalidate his lap.
Yeah, sometimes, of course, you can get away with these things if you lift off enough. But if you are lifting off that much to avoid the invalidation, chances are that you're going to be so slow anyway that it's just not worth it. And in the end, yeah, he did just dive into the pits.
Yeah, however, there is a Mercedes out on a lap. Mr. Hayes, Matthias Kologon himself making his way down into turns 10, or turns 11, 12, and 13. That rear end is sliding about as he squeezes the power on. And what will this be? Matthias Kologon not having had some, exceptional results, not what we would expect of him. I think he's currently P6 or P7 in the championship, and he should be higher. And last time out had a DNF in the Circuit of the Americas. What can Matthias Kologon pull out in the season finale race here at Yas Marina? And actually, he's just going to back well out of it. A 33.3 And I think he probably lost almost half a second out of the last corner with how much he backed out. So I think for Matthias Colligan, I have a feeling that he wants to start just outside of the top 10 and get a nice, fresh set of boots on that Mercedes.
That's possible. We could also be seeing him actually looking to set a delta time so that if he goes out on medium tires later in the session, he can go according to that delta and know how fast his lap is going to be and know whether he just needs to abort it, head back into the pits, or whether it's going to be fast enough. Because if 90% of that lap was at full speed, he'll have a reliable delta to work off of. He did make a slight mistake as well in turn 20, just running a little bit over the curbing on the exit and having a bit of a moment there. But I don't think it would have cost him too much time. And as you said, noticeably aborting the lap right at the end for Colligan. So it is an interesting strategy, and I wonder if it is all to do with that delta.
We'll have to wait and see. 9 minutes remaining in the session. And Andy is looking to improve on his time. And, well, that'll definitely help you to improve on your time, Andy. But I don't think it'll... that lap time will be sticking as Andy completely cuts through turns 8, 9, and 10. I think that might be against the rules as well. And Andy, he's been caught out by the old spectator camera. And he's still at it. I think he's trying to get back to the pits as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that looks to me like someone who invalidated their lap very early on in the lap. And so he's just trying to get back to the pits as quickly as possible, as you mentioned. Hey, I'm not sure how fondly the stewards will look upon that, but currently, actually, Andy's doing a great job being up there in third at the moment in that Red Bull, just ahead of Casper Janssen. So that is a very solid performance indeed thus far from the Austrian drivers. Now, you see Ben Chabot-Cogny going for his second run, currently sitting down in 9th. Not sure if that lap, that banker lap, how representative that is, but he'll be hoping to be a bit higher up come the end of this session.
Well, he was 300ths up at the end of Sector 1. The Ferrari and the Williams of Ruben Vallejo get well out of the way, almost caused an issue, but Ben Chabot-Cogny still has a clear run. 6,000ths up at the end of Sector 2, and, well, it might not be very quick, but it is definitely consistent from the Hungarian driver as he makes his way through turns 14, 15 and 16 completely flat. Get ready to spot your braking. Trail brake all the way down into 17. Takes so much curb, does the AlphaTauri driver. Hopefully that wasn't an invalidation. Misses the apex ever so slightly through turns 19 and into 20. Take all the curb you dare. Will he dive into the pits? No, he will not. He's going to complete his lap through the final corner. What will it be? A 32.7. 2.5 tenths up, but it is invalidated as Calcifer jumps ahead of his teammate by 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, I think Bentz might have actually invalidated that one through turn 20, unless I'm very much mistaken. He did take a lot of the curbing on the inside there, as well as into turn 17, but I think you can usually get away with it in 17. I do wonder, though, as Ruben Vallejo there just had a bit of a moment there in the opening sector of this lap as well, and without a lap time on the board, he can't afford to have too many moments under traction like that. He needs the rest of this lap to be pretty clean and tidy to make sure that he has a representative time, and I'm not sure if he might have cut there just coming towards the end of the first sector as well.
Yeah, he might have, and actually something I've just noticed is that we were talking about Matthias Colligan and the strategy he was going for. He definitely was putting a delta down, but he's put on a set of medium tires as Calcifer has to get well out of the way, and Ruben Vallejo ends up missing his braking point slightly and aborts going down into the chicane. So I'm not really sure if Calcifer can be blamed for that. He definitely got out of the way, but maybe a bit too little too late, and Ruben Vallejo, I think you can sense he's a little bit angry driving alongside Calcifer, and I think he might have been giving a few hand gestures as well.
I think he's angry about nothing, though, to be honest. Looking at that, I cannot work out what Ruben Vallejo was doing there, to be honest. He just seemed to just drive into the side of the AlphaTauri, who literally went about a country mile off the road to get out of his way. So I really don't know what he's upset about, if he is indeed upset. Maybe I missed something going down the straight, but that was a bit of a weird moment there between those two. Hopefully they aren't going to be throwing too many handbags when they get back into the pit lane. As we now see Lucas UK going to try and set his first lap of the session as well, but I think that might have been a cut through turn 9 for him there as well.
Yep, let's see though if Lucas backs out of it. He's still moded to ERS, so he is pushing somewhat 5.5 minutes, and I think that and that are definitely corner cuts. And this is definitely a corner extension from Lucas UK, so I think you're spot on there, Jacob. And he's going to be going again as Daniela Haddad improves a 31.9. 3/10 ahead of Tomek. So Danny Haddad putting in a quick lap. We saw he was back in form last time out at the Circuit of the Americas, and he's looking to continue that form as Lucas UK dives on into the pits.
I'd like to take a look at Matthias Kolliger, maybe, seeing what he's going to do on that set of medium tyres, because I do wonder if that initial lap, setting that delta, might have been setting himself up for these medium tyres. Never mind, he just completely cut it through turn 9 there by the looks of things, so I think he'll have had to back out of this one as well, unless I misread that one.
Well, there are situations where at certain tracks it is helpful to get 2 outlaps done on those medium tyres. I know it was a case, I think, at Silverstone, and I've seen a lot of drivers in various leagues doing that. Maybe Hayes is going for something similar here at Yas Marina. Either way, he's completely backed out of this lap.
Yeah, so whether it's just an outlap or whether that was a corner cut which brought to an end his attempt, we'll never know probably, but we'll see whether he'll go again on that set of medium tyres or not. I would expect him to do so, but time is running out in this qualifying session, so if he wants to get into Q3, if he'd rather get into Q3 on softs than not get into, or rather, the top 10 on softs rather than not getting into the top 10 at all, yeah, exactly. He's going to be in through the pits here, so I think that's probably a wise decision for the Frenchman in the Mercedes, but qualifying definitely not going his way thus far.
Yeah, one driver who will not be looking to come into the pits at the end of this lap is Falconardi, who is over a 10th up at the end of Sector 1. Yeets the car over the curb through turn 9. And let's see what the Sector 2 delta time is looking like. Falconardi currently right at the back of everyone who has set lap times. 4 tenths up is the Renault driver, so currently he's looking at almost a 33 dead, but that's right at the back of Ulas Ozildirim down in P13. So Falconardi definitely needs to find some more time in the final sector of the lap. How quickly does he go? That's pretty fast. Down into turn 17, carrying a lot of speed. Into turn 19, looks clean, taps the wall on the exit. Hopefully doesn't get any front wing damage. That might affect him wide through turn 20. And Falconardi dives into the pits. That's the end of his lap.
I do wonder if he picked up front wing damage there, because he did seem to understeer quite a bit through turn 20, and it was a pretty major hit with the wall as well for the Spaniard in the Renault, but he's not currently looking like he's going to be able to follow up, at least in qualifying, on what was a very good result last time out in Spain. Managed 6th in that race and was definitely running with the big guns for much of that race in terms of raw pace, so he'll be pretty disappointed to be down there in 15th at the moment. He'll be wanting to improve, that much is for sure.
Jarno Opmeer, Danny Moreno, Nicolas Matteo, none of them have left the pits yet. Ruben Vallejo, Lucas UK still yet to set lap times, but they have been out. They have attempted to set a lap time, although they were invalidated. Soft tyres for Nicolas Matteo, medium tyres for Danny Moreno. Jarno Opmeer still in the pits, and is Jarno in the season finale race? Is he going to look to start from the back of the grid to set a scene, you know, provide a nice entertaining race for us as commentators and for our wonderful viewers?
Well, I will say that he was in chat a little bit earlier on. He did say last to first with a little smirking face after it. I didn't take it seriously, but the longer he stays in the pits, the more seriously I'm taking it. So that might well be what we're going to see from the Dutchman, the champion by an absolute mile. And he's going to be starting at the back in this race almost certainly then, and we'll see what he's able to do. It'll be a great opportunity for him to really flex his muscles.
And Floris Wyers, he's backed out of his lap. He had a moment through turn 3, and that is that for the Haas driver, and he just seemed to have a little bit of a wobble. The back end a little bit unstable. What can Shanaka Clay pull out? He's on his push lap as well. 1 minute left in the session. I doubt though he's got fuel to go for one more. End of sector 2, he's 3 tenths up. This is looking to be a very quick time that might put him in contention for second position and a front row start for the Englishman.
Yeah, but that's assuming that no other drivers improve, and I can virtually guarantee that that will not happen. So I think he'll be wanting to go just a little bit faster here. Maybe if he can improve, particularly in this final sector of the lap, that might be what he needs to try and get onto that front row of the grid. But he might have cut there, actually, through 19. I wasn't too sure about that one, running wide on 20 as well.
Yep, he abandons the lap, and he will go one more time. So Shanaka Clay, sadly for him, he invalidates. What can this man do? Tomek, 200ths down at the end of Sector 1. Still plenty of time to find a bit more time on the circuit. He's currently 3 tenths down on Danny Haddad. Andy drops from the session, so he was unable to improve. Tomek, 700ths up now, but that is not going to be enough not even to really bridge the gap to the Racing Point driver.
Yeah, and once again, I think he might have cut there at the beginning of the second sector, unless I'm very, very much mistaken. So the Polish driver might well be finding himself not able to set another representative fast lap in qualifying.
Tom 97 has just jumped up to P2 with a 32-1, so all of a sudden, Tomek's got a big chance, and, well, he needs to get this lap together. He runs wide through turn 20. Is that an invalidation through 21? Across the line, it's a 32-0, but it is invalidated.
There you go, and that would have put him back up in a second, but right now Tom 97 sitting in that spot. That is excellent news for him. What can Casper Janssen and Thiemann do? They're going to be looking to challenge up there for the very top spots.
Casper Janssen's 2/10 down at the end of Sector 2. I think Thiemann was a tenth or so up. Will he be able to jump ahead of Andy, the Shizou driver? 32-2 for Thiemann, and he is not enough. 400ths down on Tomek. Who else is on a quick lap? I think Lucas UK is on a lap. And we don't have a delta to really go off, but we know Lucas is quick. Can he get into the top 10? Or maybe he just wants to qualify P11. Let's see. Through turn 21 we go. The Red Bull driver across the line is a 32.2. And it will be a Red Bull P4 and a P5.
Joining an illustrious club there, the 132.2 gang in the form of Tomek Poradzic, Andy, Lucas, UK, and Thiemann. And then Ben Shabokonyi trying to gain membership to that club, but unable to do so. And then right at the end there, Falcon Nardi up into second as well on a 132 flat. Couldn't steal it away from Daniele Haddad, but was able to deny a front row start for Tom 97.
And I've got some bad news, Jacob, to any Jarno Opmeer fans in the chat. Maybe it's good news, but Jarno is not going to be able to do a last to first challenge because Ruben Vallejo will be starting one position behind him.
Yeah, and if you look at the bottom 5 of the grid, that is an incredible list of names to be starting from the back of the grid in this race. So it's not just going to be Jarno Opmeer looking to, absolutely rocket his way up through the order. And with those guys in and around him at the start of the race, usually if you're doing a last to first sort of challenge, you'd expect the first few cars you overtake to be kind of easy, and then it gets hard once you get up into that top 10. But that's not going to be the case here. He's got Ruben Vallejo, Danny Moreno, Colagon, Nicolas Matteo all around him here. And it is going to be tougher than maybe he was expecting in the opening stages of this race.
Yeah. And we were discussing before the show, what kind of storyline do we want to put out? And one of the things that we said was Ruben Vallejo yet to take a win. Nicolas Matteo as well, yet to take a podium. And with Jarno starting so far down the order, with Danny Moreno starting towards the back as well, this was a perfect opportunity for these two drivers to, break that duck and get that result that they've been looking for. But they've said, Jarno, Danny, if you're gonna make this difficult for yourselves, we want to earn this, and they're going to be starting towards the back as well.
And with all those guys starting towards the back, we've got big opportunities for some names we wouldn't usually expect to see right up there at the front. Tom 97 starting in third. That's an excellent job in qualifying from him. Take nothing away from his actual lap time because it was very, very close to the very front running times. And someone's evidently been practicing over the holiday period. But, Andy up there as well. These guys have a big opportunity. And so does Daniele Haddad, who would usually expect to be in the company of several of the other really big name drivers. But right now it's just himself and then Nardi Perez right at the very front of the grid. And then the drivers behind, I would be surprised if they would be able to challenge the likes of Daniele Haddad over the course of a whole race.
Yeah. And surely, Jacob, this is right now Danny Haddad's race to lose. He looked impervious in qualifying, and, with Jarno Opmeer and Danny Moreno starting so far down the order, with the exception of a safety car, surely he has this one.
Well, you say that. Nardi Perez is there as well. Let's not forget about him. Falcon Nardi, he is going to be challenging as well. It's not going to all go Daniele Haddad's way. Tomek Poradzic in fourth. I kind of forgot he was right up there as well. But he can definitely challenge for a win in this one as well, for sure.
And of course, the Polish youngster still yet to win a race. He's had a couple of P3s, got a P2 in Mexico, but still missing out on that illustrious win. And, I think all of the top 10 including Ben Sabakonyi. No, Ben Sabakonyi, he actually won in Hungary. So with the exception of our P8 driver, I think all of the top 15 are yet to win a race. I think the only race winners are Jarno Otmir, Nicholas Matteo, and Ben Sabakonyi, unless I am mistaken, which, to be honest, I probably am.
I mean, it seems like it's right to me on a very brief check of things. And yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. As I mentioned, big opportunities for a lot of these drivers, a lot of names, not necessarily lesser known names, but names that you don't associate with being right up there at literal esports level. A big chance for these names to prove themselves here in ORL Split A, the final race of the season. What a time to do it. What a stage to be on for these guys.
Yeah. And we will see what they can pull out. Something, though, that I would like to bring up are the tyre choices. Everyone outside of the top 10 starting on the medium tyres. No one opting for the hardest of the 3 compound tyres, and everyone in the top 10 will be starting on those soft tyres that they used to set a lap in qualifying. So, Jacob, my question to you, we do this every single time we commentate together. Top 3 predictions.
Top 3 predictions. I am going to predict Daniele Haddad first, Tomek Prajis second, and I think it would have to be Falcon Nardi third.
Okay, I agree. Danny Haddad to take the win. I'm gonna put some faith in Tom 97. I'm gonna say he's gonna get P2, but then of course there's a reason we called him the Predator. Jarno Otmir to take P3. Hopefully he doesn't have the same setup that he had at Spa, where he had some awful setup. I think Mr. TRL Limitless made a bit of a mistake. I don't know. Just pointing fingers, but it looks like we are ready to go racing here at Yas Marina. Lights out and away we go. There's a decent start from actually, the timing sheets go completely wrong. Falconardi holds on to P2. That's Tom 97 running a little bit wider. Now Tomek is all over his rear end. They're pretty much nose to tail as they make their way through turn 2. Down into turn 3. Tomek early on the brakes. It's a Ferrari getting very close to the Red Bull of Lucas UK. A bit of contact between the 2 Red Bulls. And now Thyman goes down the inside and moves up to P6. Or does he? Because Lucas gets a great run on the exit and gets a good slipstream from his teammate up ahead. How are the likes of Jarno Otmir doing? Fantastically, up to P14, but it's even better for Danny Moreno, who's up to P13, as that's going to be the racing point of Shanaka Clay going down the inside of Kasper Janssen. Can't quite get the move done. Looks to get the switch back, but can't find the traction either, as this looks like to be a pretty intense battle for P8. Flores Wires goes to the outside, and Kasper Janssen will look to the inside. Round the outside goes Flores Wires, and he's going to pick up the position as well. Great stuff from the Haas driver. And now Kasper Janssen will try to follow through, but Ben Sabakonyi slams the door shut in his face.
Hammer and tongs stuff here on the opening. That loads of very spicy battling going on here.
And Shanaka Clay squeezes past the Renault driver as well. So Kasper Janssen just dropping down the order. And while all of this has been happening, Jarno Otmir has found a way past Danny Moreno and is up to P13. Shanaka Clay, the top running medium compound driver at the moment. Danny Haddad completes the first lap in the lead. 5 tenths ahead of Falconardi is Lucas UK up to P3. So there have been changes towards the front end of the grid. And actually, is that a bit of an issue? Because on my screen, Lucas is behind Andy. So I think we've got a bit of a timing tower issue right here, because Lucas should be behind Andy and in P7.
Yeah, indeed, that is the case. It's now just sorting itself out there on the left-hand side. Nice to know that these issues are still very much present here, as Boris Wires and Time are going to be battling as well. I'm sure Time is going to have another go back down into turn 8 at the end of this straight.
I don't think he can, and Shanaka Clay has pulled off the move on Ben Sabakonyi, but Benz is right in the slipstream, will move her to the inside, down into the chicane. Surely there's contact, and indeed there is. Has it spun Ben Sabakonyi around? No, it hasn't. And up ahead, Tom 97 has been passed by Tomek. It's a 3-line astern going down into the second chicane, and down the inside will go Andy. Side by side all the way through pretty much, but Andy has got the job done, and that's going to be Lucas following through. Tom squeezed out wide, and both Red Bulls get past the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, that's over the limit driving there from Lucas UK. I'm going to say pushing Tom well out, hanging him well out to dry on the exit of turn 14 there. That is naughty stuff from the Red Bulls. But Andy did a great job. His move on Tom, fantastic. And it opened the door for Lucas UK as well. It looked like it was going to be such a lovely 1-2 punch, kind of sullied at the end there by the over-aggressive defending on the exit of 14 there by Lucas UK. But Tom can just pick himself up, dust himself off, and have another go back at the Red Bull drives up ahead. Because I'm sure that he will have designs on a higher position at the end of this race than just 6th.
And Tom's starting to come under a bit of pressure from Flores Wires. Daniela Haddad still leading, but Falconardi is not letting the Racing Point driver pull away as Lucas UK gets a 3-second time penalty. We said there would be a lot of penalties here at Yas Marina. We've got our first time penalty on the 3rd lap of the race, but Shanaka Clay, I think, is pretty close right now to Thyman. We ride on board. Will he be able to pull off a move? No, he's just a little bit too far back on the run down into turn 8.
Interestingly enough, up at the front as well, Tomek Poradzic, because of being stuck behind Tom 97 for a couple of laps right at the beginning, about a lap and a half, he has fallen outside of DRS range of Falconardi and Daniele Haddad up ahead, who are very close in contention with one another.
But here we go, Shanaka Clay will look down the inside of the Ferrari. He found a gap, he squeezed his Racing Point in, and I think he's got the job done as well. Great stuff from Shanaka Clay.
Yeah, getting the move done there. Thyman was a little bit out of control of the braking zone there, went a bit deeper than I think he would have liked. And Shanaka able to capitalize, getting back up into, or rather just up into PA on those medium tires as well. The Racing Point driver is definitely looking good right now. 3 soft runners between himself and Mr. Anker, who is the next driver on those medium tires.
Yep, and Mr. Anker has got Jarno Otmir all over his tail, and Mr. Anker usually a driver who's battling around that 10th place spot, so he's really punching above his weight right now, and sure, he's in P12, but he is on those medium tires, and for how long can he keep the Predator Jarno Otmir behind?
Yeah, we will see. I mean, there is a DRS train that's going to be forming back there. That will make it harder even for Jarno Otmir to try and pass the cars ahead. But if Casper Janssen feels like making a move on Bench Jabo Konyi sooner rather than later, that might well just cause enough of a kerfuffle that Mr. Otmir can look to try and take advantage.
Speaking of Mr. Otmir, he tried to have a little look through turn 7, but this will compromise his eggs there. Or does it? Because he's right on the tail of the Ferrari. He'll go down the inside. Mr. Anker won't put up too much of a defense. And the Dutch driver moves up to P12. Little bit of a lockup, but nothing too irregular for the Flying Dutchman.
Absolutely. Once again, proving himself on another level to the drivers around him. And once again, proving me wrong there. As now Casper Janssen's looking at Jabo Konyi.
Yep, he'll try to go down the inside. Jabo Konyi holds around the outside and holds on to the position as well. While all of that was going on, Shanaka Clay trying to find a way through. And that's Shanaka Clay dropping down the order. Does he have front wing damage? I don't think he does, but he's dropped behind Jarno Otmir. And there was contact, I think, between himself and Flores Wires, and then he got caught out by Thyman. And that has caused the Racing Point driver to really drop down the order. So bad news for Racing Point. Daniela Haddad has actually dropped down to P2. Falconardi's found a way through, and I think Danny Haddad has made a mistake because Tomek is only 5/10 behind now.
Yeah, that's a lot has changed right up there at the very front. A few drivers heading into the pits as well. It's going to be Flores Wires, Thyman, and Bench Jabo Konyi all having enough of their soft tires. And such a shame for Shanaka Clay falling down the order after what was unfolding to be such a good race for him.
Yep, and now we're getting to the stage where Jarno Otmir is in a stronger position. He's made great work up the field. Danny Moreno in at P11 as well. Maybe he's got a shout for a strong result. We talked about this at the end of the last race. Danny Moreno just needs 1 point to ensure he gets a P2. Jarno Otmir, he's just looking at P7 right now. Down the inside he goes into turn 8. And he gets the job done as well. Makes it look easy, just like he did last lap on Mr. Anker.
Yeah, once again, it's just easy meat there for Jarno Otmir. Big gap now, a lot of clean air for him to try and pummel into and look to try and catch up to the rear end of the rest of the soft tyre runners. Shanaka Clay thought about a bit of a dive bomb there into turn 11, but thankfully decided against it.
And a bit of an incident down behind as Danny Moreno found a way past Mr. Anker. A bit of contact between the pair of them, and Nicolas Matteo used that to his advantage to squeeze past the Ferrari driver as well. But right now, Shanaka Clay is all over the back of Casper Janssen, who's really struggling on these soft tyres. And I wouldn't be surprised if Casper dives on into the pits at the end of this lap, because he's only going to be losing time battling with Shanaka Clay right now. But the Renault driver stays out for one lap longer. And Casper Janssen, he won't be getting DRS from Jarno Opmeer this time round. So Shanaka Clay should be able to make easy work of the Renault driver. Now Jarno Opmeer up to P4 as more drivers head on into the pits.
Yeah, I bet Casper would have gone into the pits there if he could, but the pit box, the Renault pit box, was thoroughly occupied by Falco Nardi, the erstwhile race leader who came into the pits alongside Daniele Haddad and Tom 97. So they're all onto the medium tyres as well. And actually, it looks like Flores Wires might have been able to get the undercut on Tom 97. Pretty major undercut going on there. And it looks like the Dutchman has just about claimed the position for now.
Casper Janssen has a DRS from Jarno ahead, and that's going to make things difficult for Shanaka Clay. He's close, but not close enough down the braking zone into turn 8. And Casper Janssen is thankful that he has an Alfa Romeo up ahead just to make things a little bit more difficult for Shanaka Clay. And as you mentioned, Tom 97 is close to Flores Wires, but can Shanaka Clay find a way through down into turn 11? And the answer is no, he cannot, as Casper Janssen outbrakes himself ever so slightly.
Yeah, struggling now on those soft tyres. I'm sure Andy, Lucas and Tomek will also be struggling on their softs. And the worst thing is for Andy and Lucas.
Here comes Tom 97 round the outside, and he's going to pull off the move as well. Flores Wires, he tried to play it cool, he tried to play it defensive, but Tom had absolutely none of it, and he moves up to P15.
Fantastic overtake around the outside from there. From Thomas 97 there. Tom 97 there. Absolutely perfectly judged is what I was trying to say. Really, really nice move indeed from the British driver in the Mercedes, reclaiming that position that was taken away from him by Flores Wires in the form of that undercut. But now that has lost him extra time to Daniele Haddad up ahead.
Yep, Casper Janssen's in the pits, as is this man, Tomek Pordij. Out of the pits he'll come now. Where will he feed out? He's already behind Falcon Nardi. Surely he'll come out behind Danny Haddad as well. But will he drop behind Tom 97? Took him a while to get past the Mercedes driver before. And there's Tomek. Feeds out just ahead of the Mercedes driver. But maybe Tom could have a little look on the DRS straight to get past the McLaren boy.
And look at the very front of the order as well. It's Andy and Lucas out there in the Red Bulls. Neither of them have pit yet, both on soft tyres, and they can't pit on the same lap, so one of them is going 2 more laps at least. So that is going to be a bit of a nightmare for them. And
Danny Moreno's just gone down the inside of Shanaka Clay, and Nicolas Mateo's trying to follow through as well. He's got a great drive. You're looking for the outside, side by side right now between the Racing Point and the Alfa Romeo. And it might be 3 wide as Shanaka Clay has to back out of it. Otherwise, he would have run into the back of Danny Moreno. Still side by side between the pair, and out wide it goes Nicolas Mateo. Mr. Anker wants to get involved in this as well, but just a little bit too far back. Shanaka Clay holds on to P5.
Yeah, Nicolas Mateo a bit too over-ambitious around the outside of turn 13 there, having to cede the position in the end to Shanaka Clay. But because of all this battling behind as well, this is just giving Jarno Opmeer more and more opportunity to stretch his legs from the cars behind, as if he needed any extra invitation to build a gap to the drivers around him. But nevertheless, he is dropping the rest of the medium runners and really flying the flag for those on the contra strategy now, as you would expect from him.
Yep, he's over 2 seconds ahead of Danny Moreno as well, so he doesn't even have to worry about any pressure from behind. And it seems that everyone in the top 10 really, with the exception of the guys who started on the medium tyres, they all have time penalties. Or sorry, I should just say with the exception of 4 drivers being Jarno Opmeer, Danny Moreno, Shanaka Clay and Ruben Vallejo. And Shanaka Clay, he's going to be so furious right now. He was in such a good position. He'd probably be the man in P3, maybe P2, with Jarno Opmeer hot on his heels. But instead of Jarno Opmeer hot on his heels, he's got Nicolas Mateo hot on his heels in the Alfa Romeo. Down the inside, Shanaka Clay tries to squeeze him down the inside, but surely he's got the job done. There's contact between the two of them, and Shanaka Clay is facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 9. And I think he might only have himself to blame, and he looks done and dusted, not even spinning the car back around. And he is going to be absolutely livid.
I don't know. Looking at that, I'm not sure that was his fault. I think the Nicolas Mateo definitely turned in on him there into turn 9. Didn't give him the space on the apex. He was alongside enough to justify the space, the room on the inside of the track. and it was not granted to him. So unless there was some sort of lag incident there, which is always a possibility as well. I mean, it's hard to say, but I do think that maybe Shanaka Clay can feel a little bit hard done by that.
I think I might actually have to agree with you on that one, Jacob. Either way, it's one that will be going to the stewards to investigate, and either way, it doesn't mean that Shanaka Clay, who was in such a fantastic position and was in looking like such a strong contender for a podium as well, is hard done by and is, well, all the way down in at P18 as we see Ruben Vallejo running pretty wide through turn 1. Mr. Anker has retired from the session in the pits, so that's one Ferrari down to 19 runners. Calcifer all the way down to P20. He pitted for hards, I think, at the end of lap 1 or 2.
Yeah, not sure what's happened to Mr. Anker there. Meanwhile, Ruben Vallejo and Daniele Haddad were battling for a moment there. Ruben Vallejo currently holding the position ahead of the Italian behind.
But look at Tomek. He's going to get an absolutely fantastic run, and he's past the Williams driver before the DRS is even activated. Ruben Vallejo has no DRS, and Tomek will make it 2 for 1 down the straight, down into turn 8. And Tomek is up now into P9, just Falconardi up ahead, who is your effective race leader. But we talked about the switchback, courtesy of the DRS on the second straight. And Daniele Haddad will have the DRS from the McLaren driver. Can he pounce back quickly? The answer is a no. Tom 97 goes down the inside of Ruben Vallejo, and he gets the job done as well. And Ruben Vallejo, he's in a very tricky situation right now because he started on those medium tires, but he's already been passed by your top 4 who've pitted for a brand new set of mediums. And Forest Wires has followed through past the Williams driver.
Yeah, Ruben Vallejo not in a good position at this stage of the race. Losing time as well, battling with all these faster cars. He's trying to let them through basically as efficiently as he can. But you're always going to lose quite a lot of time in these scenarios, particularly when it's multiple cars passing you in such a short space of time. The race is not going the way that Daniele Haddad would have wanted as well. We said it was his race to lose going into it, and at the moment, he's doing a good job of losing it. Now, he has lost out to both
Otmar down the inside. That is a brave, that is a quick from the Dutchman. He's done it as well, past the Red Bull. He'll have a DRS from the Red Bull ahead. Jarno Otmar wasting absolutely no time at all here at Yas Marina.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what Daniele Haddad tried to do on the previous lap. The difference was there was no third party to capitalize and take advantage of Jarno Otmar, compromising his own exit of turn 7 there. And as a result, the Dutchman gets the move done cleanly, and now he'll make it 2 Red Bulls in about 4 corners.
And look at Jarno Otmar's DRS, it's over 50%. He hasn't even been pushing that hard. Jarno Otmar takes the lead of the race. Sure, he has a pit stop to do, but Jarno Otmar is on a 1-stop, and we presume everyone else is on a 2-stop. The interesting thing to bring up, though, is Andy and Lucas UK. They've gone so long on these soft tyres. Are they trying to make a 1-stop work as well for them and maybe pit onto the hard tyres in a lap or 2?
For sure, yeah. There is no other explanation for what they are doing. They're waiting to get onto those hard tyres from the softs. They probably haven't lost as much time as they would have expected to, in all honesty, at this stage. I think they're hanging on quite well on those soft tyres. We'll have to wait and see once everything plays out with the strategy, of course. But with only Jarno Otmar having passed them now and Andy now heading into the pits as well, I think they can call that a pretty successful first stint of the race.
Let's just see how far behind the likes of Falconardi, Tomek, Daniele Haddad and Tom 97 Andy will feed out. Lucas, we presume, will be into the pits at the end of this lap. And Andy will come out of the pits. He's going to drop all the way down to pretty much the very back of the field. He'll only be Matthias Cologon, who's again having an absolute stinker of a race, and a Calcifer, who are behind the Red Bull driver. But Andy, I'm presuming, will be trying to go to the end from this point.
On those medium tyres, though, it's a bit of a tall order. We'll see whether that's what he's wanting to do or not, but not opting for the white-walled hard tyres. So we will see what this race is gonna have in store for the Red Bull team, as they were 1-2 for quite a few laps there, so at least it looked good on the timing boards if you ignore the tyre graphic.
It's also looking pretty good for Falconardi as well, who's clawing his way back up the field after his first pit stop, up to P6 now. And don't forget, Falconardi, he's, about 8 seconds behind Jarno Otmar? And Jarno still has still has 1 stop to go. So does Falconardi, but Falconardi will presumably be having some very fresh soft tyres to go to the end of the race.
And remember in qualifying when I was saying this weekend wasn't going as well for Falconardi as it was last time out in USA when he managed 6th? Right now, he is very much on course to either win this race or come second, depending on just how incredible Jarno Opmeer will be from here on out. But at the moment, I'm not counting him out of anything.
No, Lucas UK dives into the pits, and it almost seemed like a bit of a commentator curse for a second, because right as he said that, Jacob, Falconardi is back and went all sideways on the exit of turn 20. Thankfully, though, he's kept it on the circuit, and he hasn't lost too much time. Lucas UK out of the pits will come out behind his Red Bull teammate, 3.5 seconds behind, and that is how much time Lucas UK has lost from the undercut. That is how shot those soft tyres were, and now Matthias Colligan retires from the session. Will that be a safety car? I do not think it will be, as here comes Falconardi, now looking for P4. Bit of a lag spike to come through, and that might have scared Falconardi for a second, but the Renault driver moves up to P4, 2.5 seconds now behind Nicolas Matteo and Danny Moreno. And with both of these, or with all of the top 4 still needing to do one more pit stop, Falconardi, you have to think, at least has a P2 in the bag.
For sure, yeah. If he drives this race to perfection from here on out, as he has been thus far this race, he should at least come second and probably first. But, you know, there's a lot of different things that can happen. We saw when Ulash was lagging there just in front of him and he almost collided with the back of him. Any issue like that, if that can happen, you can get so unlucky and it can just absolutely ruin your race if you get front wing damage, if you lose a wheel on your wagon, of course, as well. So he can't count his chickens yet, but it is looking good for the Renault driver.
Yep, and as we were talking about that, Casper Jansen's found a way past Thyman for P11. Casper Jansen climbing up the order as Tomek picks up his first time penalty of the race. There are a lot of time penalties, and if we just take a look, 6 seconds for Nicolas Matteo, 6 seconds for Ulas, 9 seconds for Floris Wires, and, well, 6 and 9 seconds for the 2 Red Bulls as well. Make it 12 seconds for the second Red Bull.
Yeah, that's quite a few penalties for some of the drivers here today. We saw a lot of invalidations in qualifying as well. It is one of the easier tracks to rack up those track extensions and those corner cuts. So I'm not surprised to see a few of the drivers struggling with that, and some of them struggling a little bit more than the others.
Falconardi is almost within a second of Nicolas Matteo. He is closing in at a rapid race rate of knots. He's on 6 a lap, but fresher medium tyres than the 3 in front of him. He's yet to pick up a time penalty, which Nicolas Matteo is unable to say. Danny Moreno, Jarno Opmeer still penalty free, but Falconardi, surely he'll be within a second on lap 14, and he can look to have a shot at the Alfa Romeo driver. And then after he gets past Danny Moreno, it'll be 3 and a bit seconds up to Jarno Opmeer. Everyone still has a pit stop to do, with the exception, we think, of the Red Bull drivers down in P13 and P16, who we assume are trying to make it to the end on their current set of medium tyres.
You'd expect so, yeah. That's the only way you can really make sense of their strategy up until this point. It's looking rough for them right now, but if everyone else does have to make a pit stop, and they're going to be eating up those gaps on the much fresher tyres they have right now, so it might not be so bad for them after all, as we saw Paradzic there just able to dispatch Ulash Ozyildirim and getting past the Turkish driver and up into P5.
It was a very impressive move. He somehow managed to find so much traction on the exit of turn 19, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ulas made a little bit of a mistake, but Tom is all over the back of Chris, who we thought Tom might be getting a podium, or at least I did, and Tom will need to be finding a way past Chris as soon as possible. Daniel Haddad up ahead. He's gone down the inside of Ulas Ozyildirim, and surely he'll get the job done as well. I think he's going to have a DRS, but up ahead, Falconardi is right on the back of Nicolas Matteo on the runner down into turn 8. He's right behind the Alpha, but Nicolas Matteo has a DRS down behind. Tom 97 has swept past Chris, but is there anything that Falconardi can do in this battle for P3, because he's on the fresher tyres, but at the moment it's not really helping him, because Nicolas Matteo has a DRS and the slipstream from Danny Moreno, as Falconardi, late on the brakes, has to make avoiding action so that he doesn't run into the back of the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a nervy moment there for the Spaniard. This is exactly the situation. This is the most dangerous situation he is going to have for the remainder of this race. Two cars up ahead who are going to be battling with one another. There's a DRS train between them, so it's not going to be that easy just to breeze past Nicolas Matteo. And Nicolas Matteo, his compatriot in the Alfa Romeo, made it very clear that he was not just going to let Falconardi pass at all, going very, very defensive on the back straight there. So, yeah, this is where it's going to get a bit tricky for Nardi, and this is where he's going to earn his win. Tomek Paradzic has just closed down about half a second at least on him, maybe more like a second over the course of that third sector.
And Tom 97 goes down the inside of Ulas Yildirim up into P7, which is effective P4 in the race. But Falconardi, it wouldn't be an understatement to say right now these next couple of laps will define whether he can win this race or not, because if Danny Moreno and Nicolas Matteo can reduce the effectiveness, let's say nullify the advantage that Falconardi will have with the overcut, with the fresher tyres in that final stint, Falconardi will find it very difficult to find a way through. And, you know, if these two weren't ahead of him, he'd be probably about 2 seconds behind Jarno Otmir at this stage. Gets a decent run out of the chicane, but it's just once again doesn't seem to be good enough. Or is it because he's once again so close to the Alfa Romeo, but you can see the amount of ERS that Nicolas Matteo is using gets super close to the back of Danny Moreno, but it's still Danny Moreno, P2 from Nicolas Matteo and Falconardi.
Yeah, Nicolas Matteo is actually doing a great job for his teammate Jarno Otmir at the very front as well. The Alfa Romeos maybe working together just a little bit here, as further back that's Floris Wires getting back past Casper Janssen. Those two have been battling for a couple of laps now. But yeah, this is actually going really, really wrong for Falconardi right now. Tomek Paradzic is absolutely mullering the gap between himself and the Spaniard up ahead. And Daniele Haddad is just about being dragged along with the Polish driver as well. Tom 97 still 1.5 seconds. He's not out of contention for that podium just yet either.
We talked about this in qualifying, Jacob. We said there are so many different strategies that could be coming through. As Tomek and Daniele Haddad, they dive on into the pits for a final set of medium tyres. But you know, we talked about the different strategies, and we said, you know, safety cars could play a spanner in the works, and we also said it also depends on how much drivers defend. You know, will they battle with you and cost both parties time, or will they maybe just let you through and try to work with you to move up the order? And Nicolas Matteo is definitely not working with Falconardi, but Falconardi is closer than he has been all race along, and is side by side between the Renault and the Alfa Romeo down into the chicane. There's a bit of contact, but Falconardi holds it around the outside. Can he hold it now down the inside? They make a bit of contact, and Falconardi squeezes himself in front. He'll have a DRS as well. So does Nicolas and Matteo, still side by side between the pair of them, and it's actually Nicolas Matteo who's that little bit ahead of Falconardi. Can he use that extra grip on the mediums? And the answer is no. Nicolas Matteo, he is fighting tooth and nail for that first podium of his ORL career.
And let's not forget, Tomek Paradzic, Daniele Haddad, they were closing that gap on Falconardi. They came into the pits at the end of the last lap. They're out there on fresh mediums. They're getting the undercut on Nardi, who is going nowhere near as quick as he could be right now because of Danny Moreno and Nicolas Matteo holding him up ahead. So he is losing so much time to Tomek Paradzic right now. Daniele Haddad had a bit of traffic in the form of Ruben Vallejo.
That's a big, that's going to be a safety car. Surely Danny Moreno, he goes into the pits late trying to match Nicolas Matteo, and he's into the wall. He's lost the wheel as well, and that, well, if anything, that is embarrassing for Danny Moreno, and that is his race done and dusted.
Yeah, that is very, very embarrassing indeed for the Rookie of the Year at F1 Esports there. This is a godsend for Falconardi right now, though. Virtual safety car is out. He can pit. That's going to nullify some of the advantage that Tomek Paradzic and Daniele Haddad were going to have over him. Pretty much everyone diving into the pits right now. Where are Paradzic and Haddad going to roll out in the middle of this? Jarno Otmir, meanwhile, hasn't been able to get into the pits under this virtual safety car.
No, he has not. Tom 97 up to P2. Nicolas Matteo, he's opted for the soft compound of tyres. So that is an interesting one for Nicolas Matteo. We saw that the Red Bull drivers were able to do about 10-11 laps on those softs, but they were absolutely shot by the end of their stint. And now Nicolas Matteo has just flown past Lucas UK. Jarno Opmeer, I feel, might be staying out for another lap or two and put on a set of soft tyres to go to the end. But that virtual safety car has, well, I think it has absolutely saved the likes of Nicholas Matteo and Falconardi. Nicholas Matteo, surely he'll be pulling at the start, but in those final 3 or 4 laps, Falconardi will surely have a huge pace advantage.
Yeah, Nicholas Matteo, for sure, the biggest winner of that virtual safety car, was yet to pit. Got rid of the mediums he started the race on and just maintained a position right at the very front of the order. He was looking at just about a points finish towards the bottom of the points, if that, I think, based on the way things are going. Of course, he could have been really, really fast in the final stint. We'll never really know. But this has just absolutely changed the game for him right now. And now he can definitely look at least at second place and maybe even a win right now. It depends on how long it takes Falconardi to get past Lucas UK. Tom97, Andy both into the pit. Andy's retired.
Not quite sure what's happened for Andy. Has he done an Ulas? Or, pardon me, not an Ulas,
a Danny Moreno.
Danny Moreno. We'll see. There's a yellow flag at the end of Sector 3. And is there a Red Bull sticking out of the pit wall? No, but maybe it's been cleared by this point. I think Andy's just retired into the pit. So, Falconardi is on the back of Lucas UK. He will have DRS. Lucas UK will not. Tomic is 3 seconds down the road. And I think right now, this is a 3-horse race. Jarno Opmeer, who still has to stop. And then Nicholas Matteo on the soft tyres, Falconardi on the mediums. Your top 3 drivers all on 3 completely different strategies.
Yeah, it's really, the cat is all over the pigeons right now. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Jarno Opmeer still has a decent gap down to the rest of the field, but will it be enough? I mean, we'll have to see once he comes into the pit. Surely it's got to be the end of this lap. He has to go aggressive and get onto those soft tyres as quick as possible, because right now the gap is going to be absolutely melting between himself and Nicholas Matteo. And not only that gap, but to Falconardi, Lucas UK, Tomic Parad, just everyone else in the field, with the exception of Calcifer in 14, is on better tyres right now.
Jarno has agreed with your call, Jacob. He's going to dive in the pits. Surely it's soft tyres awaiting him. A 10-lap stint on the soft is definitely doable. And there it is, soft tyres in the Alfa Romeo pit box. Nicholas Matteo sets the new fast lap of the race. I'm sure Jarno Opmeer will obliterate that in a few laps time. But the question is, where does Jarno Opmeer feed out? Thimon's ahead, Daniela Haddad's ahead, Casper Janssens ahead. What about Tom97? Jarno Opmeer out of the pit, so right on the back of Casper Janssen in the battle for P8. So Jarno Opmeer, he has to make 8 overtakes if he wants to take the win on track here at Yas Marina.
A tall ask, but if anyone can do it, surely it is Opmeer in that Alfa Romeo. A quick word for Tom97 as well. Gutting to see what's happened to him this race. That virtual safety car was terrible news for him. Down in 10th now, when he was looking at challenging for a podium and sticking with Daniela Haddad really nicely. Here comes Jarno Opmeer for driver number 1.
Yep, Jarno Opmeer up 1 position. Don't forget, you know, we were talking about the advantage that Jarno Opmeer would have on these soft tyres, but it's kind of nullified because Nicholas Matteo, he's got only 1 lap older soft tyres. Up ahead, Daniela Haddad has gone down the inside of Thymon. He's not been able to make the move or work. And now Jarno Opmeer will be watching all of this with a gleeful look in his eye. He can smell P7, he can smell P6. Daniela Haddad gets well out of the way. He says, go Jarno, do me proud, do what I could not do in this race. And Jarno says, thank you, and I will.
That was awfully kind of Daniela Haddad there. I'm really surprised to see him being quite that generous to Jarno Opmeer. I'm sure Opmeer will not be complaining about that one bit. He's now got Timon up ahead. I believe his Dutch countryman there in the Ferrari. 2 Dutchmen into different Italian cars. But Jarno Opmeer
is in the pits.
Oh, that is very interesting, actually. What on earth? Floris Wires into the pits. Does he have front wing damage?
It looks like a drive-through. The Haas team are not out, and did he speed on the virtual safety car, perhaps?
He must have done. He absolutely, that must be what happened there for another Dutchman in this race. So Floris Wires falling well outside of the points. Shame for him. He did have a lot of penalties anyway, so he might have been finishing down towards the bottom end of the points. But here comes Jarno Opmeer. Timon basically opening the door and just allowing him through there on the hairpin. It wasn't quite there, but on the run down, surely this would be an easy move.
Yep, Jarno Opmeer, the Predator, gets the job done up to P5. He needs to find 4 more overtakes. Sure, Nicolas Matteo has a time penalty, but Falconardi does not. Jarno Opmeer, 2.7 seconds behind Tomek, who is 1.7 seconds behind Lucas UK on very worn medium tyres. And this race could go absolutely anywhere. As in the background, round the outside goes Daniela Haddad. He's a bit wide, they make contact, and that sends Daniela Haddad into practically a 360. And well, that's definitely going to be another one for the stewards again. Another racing point in what seems to be an almost identical incident to what we saw earlier, just in the next chicane.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Daniel Haddad can have much of a complaint about that one, though. He rejoined straight into the side of the car he was battling with and just got sent spinning around there. So really unfortunate. The race should have been his, as we mentioned at the top. It should have been his today, and it really emphatically has not gone the way of the Italian.
No, it has not gone the way of the Italian or the way of Racing Point, really. And that incident, it actually reminded me a little bit of, you know, the Hamilton-Maldonado incident at Valencia 2011, I want to say?
That is, no, is my answer to that one. I'm afraid I do not remember that specific incident.
It just reminded me slightly, I think it was Maldonado got squeezed out wide going into a right-hander, and then when he rejoined, made contact with Lewis Hamilton, and it sent Hamilton into the wall. So just reminded me somewhat of that, but I'm sure the stewards will take a good look at it. Casper Janssen getting closer to Thyman, but too far back. Daniela Haddad, he's had enough. He's pulled the plug. He's out of this one, and a terrible, terrible way for the race to end. And Casper Janssen, he's going to get the job done round the outside of Thyman. And he says, Danny Haddad, what was the issue? That one was easy.
Yeah, just do what I did and you'll just absolutely breeze past the Ferrari. But yeah, Casper Janssen, nice move there. Not really very difficult for him in the braking zone whatsoever. You know what? Mears getting closer to Tomek Paradzic. However, bad news in the form of the Polish driver being within DRS range of Lucas UK and that Red Bull up ahead. So Jarno Opmeer will struggle a little bit more than usual to get past Tomek, and Tomek is one of his biggest challenges in this field. One of the drivers, if any, that can maybe hold a candle to Jarno Opmeer in this field. So Jarno, you know, it's going to be tough to get past Tomek here, but he needs to do it, and he needs to do it sooner rather than later to make sure that he can still go on the attack while his soft tires are still fresh.
Yep. Let's see how quickly Jarno can do it. We saw Tomek going for the undercut back at Mexico, and Jarno was able to make quick work of Tomek, as was Barry Boromand in that race. What can Jarno do this time? Will Tomek be as much of a gentleman as Daniela Haddad was only a few laps ago? Here we go then, DRS activated, and I'm sure Tomek is going to be getting past Lucas UK fairly quickly, and indeed he will, down into turn 8, and once again, Jarno Opmeer approaches the battle at almost the perfect opportunity. He's going to squeeze on one side of Lucas UK. Now he'll look for the switchback. He gets a decent exit. How much ERS does he look to use? Because he has a lot of ERS. He's going to use up pretty much the entire battery, and he's going to overtake them both on the run down into turn 11, and he gets the job done as well. Jarno Opmeer, the Predator, wasting no time yet again. He is 4 seconds behind Falconardi, with 6.5 laps remaining here at Abu Dhabi.
The Dutchman is truly flying once more here. That was just a sublime move from Jarno Opmeer. He is so scrupulous with how he spends his ERS when he puts it into overtake mode. He doesn't do it lightly. He never clicks that button without thinking about it first. But right then he knew that was 2 positions for the taking if he just absolutely floors it, uses all the electrical energy he can, gets past both of them. Beautiful stuff from the Alfa Romeo.
And just look how much ERS Jarno Opmeer has available. I think that says about 70%. Despite having made that move, despite having to work his way up the order, his ERS is still nice and high. Now, Jarno Opmeer is at 3.6 seconds behind Falconardi. Can he catch it up, is the question.
Calcifer is out of this race at the very back as well. The Estonian don't know where, and it's a safety car. So your answer is yes, he can catch it up. The safety car comes out for Calcifer DNFing. Don't know what happened to the Estonian. Ruben Vallejo's been able to pit, interestingly, at the very back of the field, so he might gain something towards the end of this race. Who is going to roll the dice and pit here onto softs, and who's going to stay out?
Well, surely you'd have to think everyone from about P10 down are just going to put on a new set of tyres because they can afford to do so. But when you look at the likes of the top 3, if they pit, they're going to lose so many positions. Lucas UK, you'd have to think he's going to dive on into the pits as well. But the question I have for you right now, Jacob, is out of the top 3, who does this benefit the more? Because we know Nicholas Matteo, he was on older soft tyres, but with the safety car, it's now going to be that much easier for him to get to the end, and maybe those soft tyres won't drop off the cliff, and maybe they will be a little bit quicker than Falconardi's mediums.
Well, even if they are, and I don't think they actually will be, I think he's still going to struggle with those at the very end of this race, but even if he doesn't, he's still got that time penalty to contend with. He did not need them to be bunched up behind a safety car. That's a disaster for Nicholas Matteo. The virtual safety car was fantastic for him. This is anything but. He is not going to win this race, almost certainly, based on the fact that this safety car came out. It certainly benefits Jarno Opmeer the best of the front 3. We're seeing Lucas UK, the highest of the runners to gamble and go on to
Nicholas Matteo has a drive-through. He sped under the safety car. It's all
worse
over.
And worse.
Oh no,
Worse
and you can't even serve it behind the safety car. It's all gone horribly wrong for Nicholas Matteo. He was in prime position to take a win here at Yas Marina. And Ulas Ozildirim, he's rolling the dice. He's going to be staying out on his worn soft tyres. So Lucas UK is atop of everyone on those fresh soft tyres. Nicholas Matteo has a drive-through penalty. Falconardi's leading the race, but he's on the medium tyres. And all of a sudden, is this going to be Jarno Opmeer from Lucas UK and Casper Janssen?
He's doing it again. Jarno Opmeer looks like he's in the pound seat to win this race. And yeah, I doubted him at the beginning. I didn't put him in my top 3 when you asked me for the predictions. He was starting 19th, to be fair to me. Even if we hadn't had this virtual safety car and then the safety car, he did look like he was going to at least tickle the bottom steps of the podium, perhaps. But now it looks like it's going to be a bit more than that for the Dutchman, unless he throws it all away. One issue is that he'll only have a little bit of time at the very end of this race, only a couple of laps once the safety car comes in to try and get past Falconardi. But I think his soft tyres are fresh enough that he should be able to make light work of the Spaniard regardless, even with Falconardi being in DRS of Nicholas Matteo as well. Falconardi would be wise to just sit behind Nicholas Matteo. He does not need to battle with the Alpha at the front, and I think he probably knows that. He stands a better chance of beating Jarno Opmeer if he just stays behind in second place. He'll know that the car ahead has penalties, so he won't have to worry about passing him on track. Tom 97 is going to be a bit vulnerable there in 5th as well. Him and Tomek both out there on their slightly elderly medium tyres with almost the entirety of the field behind them having pitted onto softs. Ulash, I'm sure, will drop like a stone.
Yeah, and I also kind of want to mention as well, I thought Falconardi was looking for a pit entry, but something else to bring up is Nicholas Matteo. How quickly will he serve that drive-through penalty? Will he do it the very first lap of the safety car restart, or will he wait, the full 3 laps? And that could be the difference between Jarno Opmeer getting past Falconardi within a lap or within 3 laps.
Well, that's true, actually. That's a very good point. And if Nicholas Matteo, I'd expect him to go into the pit straight away, because I think that in case there's another safety car, I doubt there would be, actually, but I think he'll want to help out Jarno Opmeer. They're both in the Alfa Romeos for this race. I don't know what the extent of the teamwork between the two of them is, but he wasn't very kind in letting Falconardi past earlier, so I wouldn't expect him to give him much service this time around either. And I think the worst thing he can do for Falconardi is just peel off into the pits as soon as the safety car does. And that will just make Falconardi so much more vulnerable if you take away that DRS, that buffer to Jarno Opmeer behind.
Can I also just point something else out? If you look at the time penalties, Tom 97 is in a really good position to take a P3. I mean, even if he drops back, he doesn't have any time penalties, and consistency, keeping it clean, is paying dividends right now for Tom. And I think he's going to be in for that P3 spot come the end of the race. We're on lap 25. Tomek has a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Tom. That probably gets removed. Tom's picked up a 5-second time penalty. So I do think those get removed. Hopefully they do. But Tom 97's in a great position. Lap 25 of 28. The safety car will be in at the end of this lap. So, Jacob, we have a 3-lap sprint to the end.
Indeed, yeah, and that was a major case of the commentator's curse there, talking about Tom 97 keeping it clean,
I'm
not
sorry,
getting penalties,
Tom.
and immediately he gets the 5-second penalty straight afterwards. Hopefully it will be removed, as you said. They are often very overzealous with giving out those penalties behind the safety car. But now with the safety car in this lap, we will see what the decision will be for Nicholas Matteo. He holds this race in his hands. He guides others to treasures that he cannot possess. He cannot win this race, but he can more or less decide between Falconardi and Jarno Opmeer who does.
Well, this race restart is going to be so important for so many drivers. Nicholas Matteo, how does he play this? Does he dive right on into the pits to serve a drive-through penalty? When does he pull the trigger? He's still weaving. He's still waiting. Does he go in the pits? No, he doesn't. He pulls the trigger and he pushes on the exit of turn 21 to start lap 26 of 28 here at Yas Marina. Take a look at Tom 97. He is very close to the back of the McLaren, who's very close in turn to Jarno Opmeer. Not a great run through turn 1 for the Polishman. And Tom 97 could be looking for a way through at any moment. We ride on board Jarno Opmeer up in the distance, super closer to the back of Falconardi. There have been no significant switches in positions. Lucas UK on those fresh soft tyres. In fact, he's actually just got through Ruben Vallejo just now, and he's up a position. Great stuff from Lucas UK. What about Jarno Opmeer? He's on the back of Falconardi. He doesn't need DRS because the Predator strikes once again down into turn 8. Jarno Opmeer moves up into P2 and the effective lead over the race, the final race of ORL Season 13.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer does it, even with Nicholas Matteo staying out. It was the perfect situation for Falconardi. He wasn't battling the car ahead, he had the slipstream, and yet it just was not enough. Jarno Opmeer makes light work of him regardless. And now I'm sure that Nicholas Matteo will not put up too much of a fight. He probably can't do that much, even if he wanted to at this stage anyway. But Jarno Opmeer can just sit behind him if he likes. But I have a feeling he's going to try and win the race on track as well.
I think he will. However, Nicholas Matteo can end that dream very easily by diving on into the pits at the end of this lap. We'll have to wait and see. 2 laps remaining plus 1 corner. And surely this man right here, Lucas UK, is in prime position to get at the very least a podium. He gets a really good run out of the final corner, all over the back of Tom 97, and he will have a look down the inside into turn 1, late on the brakes, the fresh soft rubber. Lucas UK gets the job done, but he picks up another 3-second time penalty in the process. Nicholas Matteo has stayed out. He wants to have some of the glory. He wants some of the honor of staying ahead of Jarno Opmeer for as long as possible. Lucas UK, with the time penalties he has amassed, he surely will not be getting this position. He goes round the outside of Tomek, but that's not going to help him. He should be able to get a really good exit. Up ahead, though, Jarno Opmeer on the back of Nicholas Matteo, who's weaving on the straight, trying to break the slipstream. But Jarno Opmeer will slot in behind up for now. He won't go for the move just yet. Behind, though, that's Lucas UK, who's moved up another position up to P4. And Lucas UK, maybe he smells a jumping ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Falconardi has had a terrible exit, and this is going to throw him right into the jaws of Lucas UK. He's all over the back of the Renault. Lucas UK looks to the outside, switches to the inside, late on the brakes, can't get the job done. He gets his front wheel alongside the rear wheel of Falconardi, but it is not enough. Nicholas Matteo still holds on to the lead of the race.
Indeed, yeah. Falconardi making the mistake. He just cannot quite bring it to Jarno Opmeer.
Late on the brakes.
Looks like
Lucas UK's gone down the inside into turn 17. Sorry to cut you off, Jacob, but Lucas UK is up to P3. Nicholas Matteo, if he does not serve the drive through this lap, he does get instantly disqualified from the session. Nicholas Matteo, he's got to stay out. He doesn't care. He will take that disqualification and say, I was leading the race. It does not matter. Nicholas Matteo, I'm sure we're going to be getting that notification any moment now, but it seems that it is not the case. Now, Lucas UK, DRS has been enabled, and this is a 3-horse battle for the lead of the race. Also, Tom 97 on the back of Tomek, so 2 separate battles to really keep our eye on Jacob.
Yeah, it's possible that Nicholas Matteo would just have
All
a
this
hefty time
contact.
penalty slapped
Lucas
on.
UK's tapped the back of Jarno Opmeer. There's more contact between the two of them. Lucas UK, he wants this. He wants this more than anything he's wanted in his life, and he's right on the back of Jarno Opmeer. But Jarno has so much ERS. He's on the back of Nicholas Matteo. Jarno looks to the outside. Nicholas Matteo late on the brakes, and this is going to let Lucas UK get the switchback On the exit, he gets a bit of a wobble with the rear end, and that might just compromise him. The win, Jarno Opmeer has waited till the last possible opportunity. He squeezes past Nicholas Matteo down the inside into the final chicane, but Nicholas Matteo, late as you like on the brakes, he holds on to the position. Jarno Opmeer has got a great run down the inside, more contact between the pair of them. Nicholas Matteo runs wide, and now Lucas UK is all over the back of the two Alfa Romeos. Nicholas Matteo holds on to P2, and Jacob, this is absolutely crazy. On the final lap of the race, Jarno Opmeer moves up to the lead. It will be an Alfa Romeo 1-2 at least on track. Lucas UK cannot find a way through here. Nicholas Matteo holds on to B2, but Jarno Opmeer, the Predator, from the back of the grid, takes the win. Lucas UK takes P2 on circuit. Falconardi takes P2 after penalties, and Tom 97 completes your podium.
What a final lap that was. And Jarno Opmeer winning it on track, as he should do in the end there. Driver of the day, Jarno Opmeer. You know what? I'm going to agree. Driver of the day, Jarno Opmeer, 19th on the grid to first in the race. The initial virtual safety car didn't help him. The actual safety car certainly did help him. But nevertheless, a very, very well-deserved win after an excellent drive once again from the Dutchman.
Did you see that celebration, Jacob? Did you see how he put his hand to his ear there? That was Jarno saying, Jacob, why didn't you say I would finish on the podium?
Well,
wow.
You know, we'll never know. We'll never know what would have happened if it wasn't for that virtual safety car and the safety car. But yeah, I have a feeling he might have made it to the podium anyway, to be honest.
I think it would have been very close. It would have been very exciting to see how it would have panned out between himself, Falconardi, and Danny Moreno as well. And Danny Moreno, he should have been there, but all because of that pit entry. He tried to cover off, who was it who was behind him? He tried to cover off Nicholas Matteo diving on into the pits, and he just went in too late. Nicholas Matteo has got a big time penalty, but that might get removed. So Nicholas Matteo, he might still end up with a P2 or a P3, because Tom 97, he finished, I think, 2.9 seconds behind Jarno. So who knows how it will end. I do know, though, Jacob, Falconardi did finish ahead of Nicholas Matteo on circuit. He got the drive out of the final corner.
Yeah, and also Nicholas Matteo, I think he'll only get at least 20 seconds of that time penalty removed. I believe he has a bit more than that in terms of just regular time penalties for corner cutting and so on. So I think he won't be able to get rid of absolutely everything in terms of his penalties, but we'll wait and see on that one as well. But nevertheless, I do think we can safely say it's Jarno Opmeer first, Falconardi second, and I reckon it will probably be Tom 97 third.
But what a crazy race. If our viewers haven't already, I'm sorry, I didn't really have time to bring it up, but the driver of the day votes. I'm sure the straw poll is out in the YouTube chat. Make sure to vote who you think gets driver of the day. You know, maybe it was Danny Moreno for causing the VSC that almost cost Jarno Opmeer the win. Maybe, of course, the Predator himself, Jarno Opmeer, for a fantastic drive right to the wire. Maybe Nicholas Matteo for a fantastic defensive drive on the last lap of the race. Even Falconardi for what was a great final couple of laps. And even, you know, despite the time penalties that we saw, Lucas UK also had a great drive. But we're going to be waiting to see if any of the drivers do want to jump in for a quick interview, and hopefully we can have a chat with them. Jacob, I mean, your driver of the day.
My driver of the day is 100% Jarno Opmeer. I think you could run a million straw polls, and they would all end up with Jarno Opmeer as the leader. I think there's no real way to argue for anyone else. There were some really great drives. I've got to say, Tom 97 did a great job in adversity. The safety car didn't really go his way. The virtual safety car certainly didn't go his way, but he made a good result of it in the end to manage that bottom step of the podium. So I think he would have been on any other day. If Jarno Opmeer wasn't there, he would 100% be my driver of the day. But on this occasion, I've got to give it to Jarno.
I'm just taking a look in the chat. I see there's, well, at least in the ORL Discord chat, Nardi, Falconardi and Lucas having a bit of a debate. I think Nardi a bit upset that Lucas compromised his race despite having a few time penalties. I'm sure they will sort that one out. And it doesn't look like anyone is jumping into the interview room at the moment, but Wow, what a way for the season to end. I mean, my voice was completely gone, and I was just remembering back to it was the last lap ORL season 10 in Austria when it was Daniel Berejne and Isaac Price battling for the win, and this race brought so many of those kind of memories back. So what a way for the season and the race, of course, to end.
For sure, yeah. And I do think we probably got into a little bit of a festive fun in that race as well. It was a bit more bumper cars than usual. There were a few more time penalties than usual. And we didn't see what we often see, which is in the opening stint of a race, the drivers will try not to battle each other that much, try not to cost themselves that much time, and then maybe battle later on throughout the race. We saw battling right from the get-go and right throughout the whole race here today. At no point was anyone taking a breather there. So, yeah, I think that was a little bit more on the, shall we say, the drivers were getting a little bit loose to end the season.
Yeah, and it's kind of what you want to see. You know, we said we wonder if drivers will be feeling a little bit festive at the start, whether they've gained some weight and whether it'd be hampering them a bit. But to be honest, I think we saw some absolutely top quality racing nonetheless. Drivers on the absolute limit, and yes, there were incidents, and I think it just shows, how much the drivers were pushing. They knew it was the last race of the season, and it's great to see that from time to time, especially towards the end of a season, when that championship is wrapped up, just to see the drivers giving absolutely everything. Sure, there was probably some over-aggression, but at the same time, we as viewers, we love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. No, all of it was entertaining. No matter what, all of that race, 100% of it was very entertaining indeed. Some of the drivers might not have been quite so entertained in moments when they were facing the wrong way, but other than that, I don't think there can be too many complaints.
And right as you say that, I've noticed that we have one driver in the voice. That is Ruben Vallejo. So, Jacob, what do you say we drop down? Oh, never mind. He's disappeared. Oh, no, Ruben's up. Ruben, how... actually, as I say that, Jarno jumps in as well. So I think we should... start with our race winner, Jarno. What on earth was that? That was disgusting from you. Like, so quick. Wow.
Yeah, pace was already really good in practice in qualifying, so I was like, oh well, it's the last race of the season anyway. Let's start last for fun. And then in the middle of the race, I changed the strategy to a one-stop from medium to soft. Instead of doing medium, soft. So yeah, I think in the end with the safety car it worked really well. So I think I made the right decision there. And then with the safety car, I think it helped me in my favor a bit. Obviously, the other people had a big advantage from pitting under VSC, whereas I had to pit in normal circumstances. So it was a fun race, definitely.
I mean, after that VSC came out, pretty much everyone else was able to get off that pit stop for, half price. So once you had made your pit stop, did you think, okay, it's going to be really difficult to win? What was your expectation after you made your pit stop and you saw, how far you were away from the likes of Falconardi?
I felt like I was definitely still in contention to win. It was going to be hard, of course. I knew my teammate had a 6-second penalty, so I knew I was definitely going to finish P2 at the time. But Nardi was giving me a bit of a headache at the time because obviously at mediums, which were going to stay consistent till the end, and I had to make ground real quick on those softs as they were going to drop off quite fast. But yeah, then the safety car definitely played into my advantage. But yeah, at the same time, they had the advantage of the VSC. So.
And the final lap of the race, yourself, your teammate Nicholas Matteo, and then Lucas UK, it got very physical. Do you think there was any dirty driving there, or do you think, last lap of the race, all's fair in love and war?
Yeah, it was last lap of the race, last lap of the season. So I think it was a bit. Everyone was pushing to the limit, of course. I think between me and Matteo, it was all quite clean. He was being aggressive, but I had the tire advantage, of course. So I got hit really hard into the hairpin by a Red Bull behind me. Who had a lot of penalty. I don't know exactly what it was, but
it was Lucas.
I wasn't happy with. I wasn't happy with that. So But in the end, it didn't matter anyway because both of them had a lot of penalties. So.
Jacob, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, sure. So, if there hadn't been the virtual safety car or the safety car in that race, if the race had just played out completely naturally, where do you reckon you would have ended up? I know it's kind of hard to judge when you're in the car; you can't see all the gaps at all times. But whereabouts do you reckon you would have finished the race?
If there was no VSC and no safety car, I still had a really good chance to win. I think even a bigger chance than with the VSC, because the VSC was very annoying at the time for me as I just passed the pit lane. So yeah, I think the closest we would have been was Tomek, I think so. Who was 6 seconds behind me, who pitted from mediums at the end of lap 16. I had to go 2 laps longer or 3 laps longer. I can't remember exactly. So he was going to get a massive undercut. Those worn mediums were terrible at the time. So yeah, it probably would have been between me and Tomek if there was no safety car or VSC.
Fantastic. Jano, quickly before you leave, because we've got Ruben here as well, do you have anything that you want to say to Ruben? Because he ruined your last first challenge by not setting a qualifying lap.
Yeah. There was I don't know why or how the game decides who's gonna start ahead, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Last row to first challenge.
Well, Jano, an
19th to first challenge.
Yeah.
Well, Jano, an absolutely fantastic drive from you, and congrats again on yet another fantastic victory.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, we'll jump to Ruben next because, Ruben, you've been waiting pretty patiently. So, I mean, just talk us through your race because it was crazy with everything from the VSC to the safety car at the end. How's the race from your point of view?
Yeah, lap 1 I got wind damage from Jarno, so in middle of the straight I don't know what happened. Maybe there was some contact in front of Jarno, so he braked and I hit Jarno, or saying like that. So yeah, it was my race was dead to saying at the beginning because I needed a safety car. I was praying for a safety car. Danny crashed. It was a VSC, so I was crying. But yeah, the safety car cancelled. It helps me so much because I didn't have penalties at that time. Because I know that my only chance to be on the points was not having penalties. The other drivers had a lot of penalties, so I need a safety car to be on the points. So yeah. Later, safety car came out. It was some crash. I think Tom, Floris, Casper, and someone else. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, and we all got a 5-second penalty. So yeah, game decided. It's a shame, but yeah, at least I could finish before. So yeah, I'm very very happy because lap 1 I was last. So yeah. Very, very happy.
And Jacob, do you have anything you'd like to ask Ruben?
Yeah, just a quick question about what actually happened in qualifying. Was it intentional to start at the very back? Were you going for your own sort of last to seeing where you get to challenge, or was it just couldn't string a lap together?
Yeah, I struggled too much to get a lap. I know my strategy at the beginning was to start P11, so I didn't do lap to the end, but at the last lap I invalidated. So yeah, I need to start on the last because I didn't complete a lap. So yeah, I struggled with the lap. It was a bad lap, but yeah, probably I could be P16. So yeah, it was a bad qualifying, but reverse strategy here works a lot. If you can do one stop medium soft. So yeah, it was difficult to do it, but yeah, front runners as well got very good pace, like Lucas UK, I think. So yeah, it was a really difficult race for me, but yeah, it was a strategy that I didn't work, but yeah, very, very happy at the end.
Congratulations on being able to turn it around in the race.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Ruben. And Tom, on to you. Qualifying looked fantastic. P2 start, if I recall correctly. At the race start, though, it seemed that you were dropping a few positions to the guys behind, and then the VSC came out pretty much at, the wrong time for you. And again, like I did ask to Jano, what was kind of going through your head when that VSC did come out? How much had it ruined your race from your perspective?
Yeah, it was pretty poor. I could have pit, but I'm not sure what the rules are regarding cutting the pit entry line, so I didn't want to risk it, especially because at that stage I didn't get a whole warning the entire race, so I didn't want to risk anything. So I just went around. I knew I was in trouble, but then I knew I had a slight tire advantage and obviously no penalty, so it wasn't the end of the world. Qualified P3, Falcon Knight got me at the end. Pretty decent qualifying. I think there was a bit more time in it, but overall P3 was the best I could have done. And then in the race in itself, yeah, I dropped through the order a bit. It was one of them ones where once one person gets you, they all kind of jump on you, like sharks, basically. But I had a bit of lag, so Tomek lag hit me twice. The first one I was able to catch. The second one, not so much, and that's when they all started to fly through. So not much I could have done, really, which was a bit of a shame because my pace was strong, and I think I could have stayed ahead of Tomek. And then obviously as well with the little VSC incident as well. So many little things that could have gone differently, I think, in that race, but P3 is pretty strong.
Well, your pace was strong, but your consistency was probably stronger. No penalties, and you know, when that safety car came out at the end, I'm sure you had a little look onto the leaderboard. You saw, you know, 6-second time penalty, 3-second time penalty, and you had a little smile on your face.
Oh, for sure. I had my spotter telling me as well, keeping me updated, and it went really well. I did have a moment, though, where, of course, there was a big brake check on the back straight. I'm not sure what happened into the chicane. Tomek hit the brakes really hard, and I'm guessing someone in front of him as well, because everyone got a bunch of 5-second penalties. And it was like, at that stage, all this hard work, I've kept my nose clean, and then I was really scared about losing an end plate mid-safety car because that would have been game over. So I was really glad I managed to just about get the car slowed down, but that was scary, very, very scary. But in the end, you know what, decent stuff, and had a bit of a scrap with Tomek at the end of the race, last lap as well, trying to get by, and almost went to the wall. Good fun as well. Yeah, had it all. It was a fun little race, but I'm definitely very surprised I got a podium, I've got to say.
Well, congrats on the podium. And Jacob, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly building on that, you mentioned having really strong pace today. You mentioned being surprised to get the podium. I mean, last time out in the USA, you had good pace relative to the sort of second half of the field, as it were, but you were kind of in a world of your own, if I remember correctly, with the front runners, the likes of Daniela Haddad, Tomek Paradzic, being, you know, considerably faster than you in that race. And today, you really were just absolutely toe-to-toe with Haddad, with Paradzic. Is that something you were expecting going in? Do you feel this is like a particularly strong track for you?
It's more that USA is not a great track for me, I think. Also, setup-wise, I didn't really have an outright USA or Abu Dhabi setup, so I kind of had to tweak a previous one. It didn't work so well in USA, but it seemed to work better today as well. So I think it's a combination of both things. But to be fair, I was quite happy. I knew if I could stay within DRS, you know, that kind of disguises the fact maybe you're a bit lacking on pace. I think setup-wise, I was a lot slimmer on aerodynamics compared to everybody else because I was making up everything on the straight. And that made it quite easy to stay ahead as well. So, yeah, I think in the end, I got it right. And I was a bit concerned at first because with the fuel, I was really struggling with tyres, especially towards the latter end of the stint. But that final stint on those mediums, my pace was quality. I was setting purple sectors, and I could have mixed it up with the big boys. I really think the timing on that VSC was the key one. If I'd managed to pit with that VSC because I was at the front of the queue, I could have rejoined P4-3, and I would have had the best times and no penalties for the very end of the race. So I could have definitely got even higher, maybe. I think Falcon Knight was definitely there for the taking. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, for sure. You definitely put your stamp on ORL with that one, and a great result for you. So congratulations.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom, for joining us. And that is everything that we have tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, not only for tonight's race, not only for the interviews as well, but for the entire season and staying in tune, watching all the races. ORL will be back for season 14. If you haven't already, do drop a subscription over on the YouTube channel and on Twitter as well at @team_ORL so that you can stay up to date with everything Online Racing League related from season 14 signups to when the start of season 14 will be. I've been Milky Cyril. You can catch me on Twitter at MilkyCyril73. And Jacob, where can people find you?
At J Hancock's Caster, if they for some reason are possessed to want to follow me on Twitter.
Well, Jacob, thank you very much for joining me in the last couple of races. It's been a pleasure to commentate the final few races of ORL Season 13. And to everyone else, thanks for staying with us to the very end. And until Season 14, stay fast, and we'll see you next year. Goodbye.